What do you get when you cross baklava and cheesecake? Well, strap a treadmill to your ass and let me show you. So, today I'm going to show you how to make one of my, or two of my all-time favorite desserts, all in one recipe. Cheesecake, a beautiful New York style cheesecake, and a Greek baklava. Before you all get your panties in a bunch over whether the background of baklava or the origins of baklava are Turkish, Middle Eastern, North African, Balkan, yada, 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 you're all right. It's from all of those places, and they are all equally good. So let's just take that off the table before I start getting like hate mail and all that. So, first things first in this recipe, we're going to break this down into the sections. It may sound complicated, but it really isn't. First, we're going to work on our crust. Second, we're going to work on our actual cheesecake, or the filling part. And third, the gorgeous topping, which makes this part of the baklava recipe. So, next order of business, preheat your oven, 325 degrees Fahrenheit. Get that off and going, and that way we are done and ready to move on with our actual recipe. So, for this recipe, what you're going to need is a 9-inch springform pan. Find these anywhere, you probably have these already. What I'm going to use for my base is walnuts and almonds along with phyllo. So, first things first here when it comes to this, we're going to take a little bit of parchment paper and we're going to line the inside of our springform pan. Now, you know what? Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you how I cut this, because I do have a couple of my buddies watching and they didn't do so good in like home ec. So what you're going to do very simply is you're going to take a piece of parchment, cut it to the approximate size of your pan. Take your pan, put it over your parchment paper here, just like that. You're going to take a knife with a very, very sharp point, and very simply, all you're going to do is just trace around, nice and easy. It's not complicated. Here you go, just like that, and keep that moving. Perfect. Now let's move this out of the way, and here we have a pretty decent cutout to the size of our springform pan. And hopefully, even if you missed a few spots, not a big deal. Just pull it apart, just like that. Nothing to this. Take your springform pan, put this on the bottom, unfurl it or unfold it, and that's it. That part of this is done. The next part of this is, as in any baklava, we need phyllo. So for this, I'm going to use the regular phyllo dough. And specifically for this, I'm using 8 sheets of phyllo dough. All right, so now we have our phyllo sheets organized and separated. So we're going to take each phyllo sheet lengthwise. I'm going to grab a brush and we're going to cover them loosely with melted butter. Doesn't have to be anything fancy or complicated. Just nice and easy, just like that. The next thing we're going to do is fold them over in half, and you're going to do the same for all 8 sheets. Alrighty, so there's our 8th and final phyllo sheet ready to go. Next thing is our pan. We already have our parchment lined in here, and I'm just going to take that out for a second. And all you're going to do is just coat and apply a little bit of the melted butter around the side of your pan. Take our parchment paper, apply it to the bottom. Nothing complicated. So now, let's start building the actual base of our cheesecake. So, we're going to take each halved phyllo And what we're going to do is we're going to apply it just like that and spread it evenly so that way it's on the bottom and extending a little bit on the top. Just like that. The next sheet will go in and you do the same exact deal. And move it in just like that. Same thing here. And you're going to have this extension or the phyllo extending over your pan, and that's exactly what you want. So let me move this here and we can do it a little bit better. And same deal. Take this and just keep going. And our last phyllo goes in just like that. So we've actually lined our pan with our buttered phyllo, and now we're ready for the next stage of our crust. Our crust is actually divided into two phases. So this, my friends, is phase 1. Now the phase 1 is out of the way, time for phase 2, and I'm going to bring into the game my trusty food processor. For the base, we need a base for our cheesecake along with the buttered phyllo. So for this, I am using 2 cups of walnuts and 2 cups of almonds. So they're going to go into my food processor just like that. Let me move this out of the way here. And a pinch of salt. That's it. And what I'm going to do is just get those. Nothing to this. It takes literally about 30 seconds. The next part of this, I'm going to take now about 4, maybe 5 tablespoons of my melted butter, and it's going to go into my crushed or chopped up almonds and walnuts. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pulse this up real quick and get that all incorporated. That's it. Now, let me just pop this off. Take this. I'm going to grab a spatula, and what you're going to do is just pour your almond and walnut base with the butter in the bottom of your dish. Let me just spread this around. And this is where you're going to use a little bit of your spatula to help push our base, our walnut and almond base, along the sides. So that's it for my cheesecake base. It's all ready to go. I'm going to pop this into my fridge until I need it. Next part of this is our actual cheesecake filling. So now that our crust of our cheesecake is off into the fridge resting comfortably, the next part and the most important part is our actual cheesecake filling. So for this, very simply, you're going to take our ingredients, mix them in your mixer, and that's literally it. So first things first thing into the pool is 3 packs or 3 250 gram packs of cream cheese, or 3 cups. Now, for the love of Pete, do yourself a favor and make sure your cream cheese has been out for a couple of hours or so at room temperature. Make sure that it's softened or it's going to turn into this sludge in your mixer, and that's not a good thing. So that will go in first. The next thing to go in is half a cup of honey. This is our, again, baklava portion of our recipe. And a lot of people will claim you can use oil and whatnot to line your container of your honey so it won't stick. Listen, if you have a decent spatula, you should have no problem getting all your honey out of there with no problems. So in goes our 3 packs of cream cheese and half a cup of honey. Drop this, lock and load, and slowly start combining the two so that way they can start incorporating. All right, so now our cream cheese and our honey have incorporated nicely. The next thing you're going to add are 3 eggs into this. And there's our third egg right there. Perfect. At this stage of the game, what I would do as well is take your spatula and just slowly start peeling off or scraping off the sides of your bowl, so that way you get everything mixed evenly. And because we've added a more liquid to our mixture with the eggs, start it off at the lowest speed and get everything blended first before you start mixing it. As this thing is moving along now, I'm going to drop it again to the lowest speed. And the next ingredient to go in are 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Not that I'm going to get all barefoot contessa on you and all that. I love Weingarten. Get the best vanilla you can, whether you're using vanilla extract or vanilla beans or the pods. Just, it does make a bit of a difference. Not much. I mean, I know she grows her own vanilla trees, but the point is for us, use the best ingredients you absolutely can. So our 2 teaspoons of vanilla go in, and lastly, 1 teaspoon of fresh squeezed lemon juice will go in. It doesn't sound like a lot, but that 1 teaspoon of the lemon juice will actually bring a brilliance or a shine to this, to our cake. So now that they're mixed in nice, bring up the speed again and start incorporating. This is actually fantastic now. It's looking nice and creamy and smooth. All right, so now that our cheesecake filling is just about done, time to bring back our crust. And it's absolutely fantastic, coming along from our fridge really nicely. It's firmed up. That's it for this. Time to make it happen. So now I'm just going to clean off my paddle as much as you can, because all this goodness. This smells fantastic. Even now, completely unbaked and raw. Wow. All right, let me just unscrew this carefully. And what you're going to do is just start scraping. You don't want to miss any of this goodness here. And just pour it. Oh, look at that. That is fantastic. Just look at this. So now that our cheesecake has been filled and the crust is and everything's ready, kind of incorporated and ready to go in the oven, I'm just going to pull up my overhanging phyllo crust, almost like a little crown, and just do the best you can and keep it up like this, so that way it'll give you a little bit of an effect when it comes out of the oven. It doesn't have to be perfect. So in that went. It's going to go now for an hour at 325. The next and last part of our cheesecake now, our baklava cheesecake, is the topping. Very easy. It's a matter of just throwing everything into a saucepan and heating it up and letting it go for about 15 minutes to all the flavors incorporate. Here's the thing. The trick to this recipe is you have to let your cheesecake come to a complete cool down. It's got to cool completely, and that way what will happen is this mixture of honey and water and goodness will not kind of go runny on you. It needs to be thick and tacky. So first things first, let's get our pan going here and just start adding things. First thing we're going to add is 1/2 cup of water. Very complicated so far. You're going to add 1 cup of honey. So get that going in there. Incorporate that. Again, there's the factors of the cheesecake, and then there's the factors of the baklava in this. So give that a quick little stir there. The next thing to go in is a piece of orange peel. Doesn't have to be anything fancy, just 1 piece. Just peel off. There. That's all you need. just this part here. And it's the best part of the orange. That goes in there. Next is the zest of 1 lemon will go in. And I'm adding the zest of the lemon first before I add the lemon juice, because it's kind of hard to zest a lemon that's cut in half and juiced. It's a problem. And we're going to juice now 2 lemons. Now make sure you get your pits out of there. I'm just using it roughshod here. That's perfect. See how easy this recipe is? It's not very complicated at all. Just take care of it. Just do it in the right order. Get your shit together, get organized, and it's nothing. There's nothing to this at all. So that's now come to a boil. And all I'm going to do right now is very simply turn down my heat and simmer this for about 15 minutes. And that's it. And once this is done, you're going to remove this from the heat and just forget about it. Let this cool down as well and kind of recongeal and thicken up again. So now it's been about a couple, 3 hours since I baked off my cheesecake. Let it cool completely. What I've done is I've taken it out of the oven. I've actually left it on the stovetop for about an hour, and then another hour or 2 in the refrigerator to kind of bring it all together. The next and final part of this, which has got me really, really excited, is the actual topping. Traditional cheesecakes will have like a fruit topping of some sort, cherry, blueberry, strawberry, chocolate, all that stuff. Well, today, because of the baklava, we're gonna make a honey, like we did actually our honey and orange and lemon syrup. And in keeping with our baklava theme, what I'm going to do is chop up a few walnuts and almonds. In this case, I'm using half a cup of walnuts and a quarter cup of almonds. And what I'm going to, or all I'm going to do is very coarsely chop them so that they're not quite powder. They're not like our base, but they are smaller than kind of big chunks. That will work perfectly there. And what we're going to do now is just take these and sprinkle them all over our top, just like that. Make it all nice and delicious, perfect, just like that. That's the first part of our topping, which is our almonds and our walnuts. The next part, which is our syrup. Remember this? And our syrup is going to go in. Actually, I'll do it from this side so you can get a better view. Just going to go over that nice and slowly. On what planet does this not look good? So now, my friends, that's it to my baklava cheesecake. It is finished. I'm not going to cut into this right now. It's got to set for about another hour in the refrigerator until it kind of all comes together with the syrup and the nuts and everything else. But that is the gist of this. So my friends, I thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, share this with your friends. It may not be the lowest calorie dish, and believe me, this is worth every minute on a treadmill. And until next time, I'm Ken. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.